Hi guys, welcome to the Building Novalo series. In this series, I am answering one question. The one question that I'm always asked. Zanele, how did you build Novalo? Novalo being my company, No-Valo Learning Centre. And the reason why I am often asked this question is because to date, at Novalo, we are a multi-seven-figure business in South Africa. We've had the pleasure and the honor to touch over 11,000 lives of students and young professionals. Lastly, but certainly not least, we are a multi-award winning company that is also accredited. In this series, I will be taking you into what it has taken to get to this point. And I hope as you are listening to this story, you can learn something. And as you are commenting and liking this video, I can also share a bit more. As I am taking you through this journey of building Novalo, at the back, we have our Novalo journey wall. And maybe you can't see it, but there in the beginning is 2018, which is where the vision started. So let's start there. Novalo, what does Novalo even mean? Novalo stands for no fear. So Valo is a Zulu name, which is actually fear. So the reason why I got to no fear is because I truly believe that on the other side of fear lies great things. That's why I was like, oh my goodness, this is a perfect name. But how we got to the name actually is an interesting story. So if you didn't make your cup of coffee, maybe you might want to pause and get it because, you're in it for the ride. How we got to the name is that after qualifying as a chartered accountant in 2018, I went to Dublin for secondment. As I was going there, my friend Pam gifted me a book by Simon Sinek, which is Start With Why. Which was interesting because I was like, what would be my why? And the reason why it was also interesting is because this was a tricky space in my life whereby the rest of 2017, I was doing life coaching and I was trying to find what is my purpose in life? And beyond qualifying as a CA, what would I even offer people? Anyway, Pam comes to the airport, gives me the book, and then I go. Straight after getting into the plane, I start reading it. As I'm in Dublin doing my secondment, every time in the bus, I am reading this book. And it really got me thinking, oh my goodness, if I were to start anything in life, what would it be around? And that's when I realized that it has to do with breaking the cycle of poverty. Believe me, 2018, I didn't know how or where. Yes, now we know that we break the cycle of poverty through education, but 2018, I didn't know. But then I knew that, this can be something. And I knew that in us connecting it with the word no fear and also acknowledging the fact that if you are going to break the cycle of poverty, you do need that bravery and courage. Then I was like, no, this is the name. This is the name. So that is how we got to the name Novalo. But you would think we then went straight into No-Valo Learning Centre, and guess what? Spoiler alert, no. We didn't move from the name Novalo to No-Valo Learning Centre. It was a road. It was a bumpy road. So now I'm going to tell you about how did we even get to No-Valo Learning Centre, and from moving to Novalo, even before Learning Centre, what were some of the ventures and how it all ended up in, this room where you can even see the No-Valo Learning Centre behind us. It was a bumpy ride indeed. Most people think I left corporate and I got into Novalo Learning Centre and, Bob was your uncle and everything was working, but nope. That's not what happened, because in as much as, yes, I got the name in 2018, but well before then, I was trying to find my feet in business. Let's take it back to 2015, where I had my first venture. I was a first-year trainee at one of the medium-sized firms, and me and my friend Lerato were like, you know what? we have a great business. We said we are going to actually host events, and these events will be about women empowerment. It's going to be amazing. Me and Lerato, we had the plans where we're sleeping late at night saying this is going to be one of the best businesses ever. It was called Diamond in the Rough. I still remember because I was working in Rosebank, but actually I was staying in Soweto, and me and Lerato used to sleep very late planning for this. So as we were planning for this, because, I'm an A achiever, I want to do things so well, and I want them to, we have to start off with a bang. Then we said, what, for our first event with Diamonds in a Rough, we are going to have the best MC in the game, Bonang Mateba. As we were saying that, believe me, my bank account was like, what? What do you mean, Bonang? Are you sure? Because me and Lerato didn't have anything in our bank accounts. So us being who we are, we reached out to Bonang's brand management. I believe back then she was still with DNA Brand Architects. We reached out to a lovely lady. I think her name was Suela, something to start with an S. And then she was really lovely. We said, okay, we don't have the funds, but then we are going to sell the tickets. And once we have most of the proceeds, we will actually pay everything. For now, let's place a holding deposit. Guys, for the purposes of the story, I'll tell you how much the fees were. But then now I'm sure Bonang is like a million times over that because she's just amazing. So back then in 2015, beginning of 2015, her fee to come and do MC was 35,000. So the lady agreed. She was like, okay, cause she wanted 50%, and we're like, that won't really work. And then she was like, okay, 10%. And so, we negotiated up until she was like, okay, 5% as a holding deposit. But then she was like, before you pay the rest of whatever percentage, you can't post there, all of those things. So we paid the 5%, which was 1,000 something, of which honestly, I don't even know where we got it because I was a trainee. I was struggling to even, with my petrol and everything else. It was tricky. But we paid that. We got the venue in Vanderbilt Park. We paid that as well. We started advertising on Facebook, just advertising, saying, you can come through. We'll be talking about etiquette, how to get ready, how to build your brand. I don't even know why we said that because I didn't even know anything about the brand day. So we advertised. We had this lovely, lovely poster. And for weeks and weeks, no one was buying a ticket. Literally, weeks we kept on reposting, calling friends, WhatsApping people. No one was buying anything. Up until one of the days closer to the event, probably 1.5 weeks close before the event, we see that we've had one sale. And we jumped. We're like, oh my goodness, it's finally happening. When we open up to see who actually bought the ticket, it was my relative, Tsileng. You know what, Tsileng? Tsileng, me and you. Tsileng, I'd do anything for you. Tsileng actually was the only person that bought the ticket. So now it's fast approaching the event. And we're like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Guess what we did? I still remember at night, me and Lerato guessing lotto numbers. We're like, we're going to guess the lotto numbers. We're going to win the lotto. And when we win the lotto, we'll be able to at least pay the suppliers whilst we wait. We played, guys. We played. Me and Lerato played. And, because we knew this is going to work. Guys, we played. As you can imagine, we didn't win. We kept on playing, but we didn't win. So now, I still remember 2 days before the event, we had to cancel. I mean, it's only cancelling with suppliers and Tsileng. It's not like we're cancelling with anyone else. So 2 days before, I still remember, I just woke up crying. And I was like, I can't believe this is not going to happen. Called Tsileng. And I was like, oh, thank you for buying the ticket, but it looks like it won't happen. Called the suppliers, called Bonang's manager. And that day, I think we just sat in, we're just so sad. We're just sitting in the bed in my one room in Soweto, just trying to be like, okay, but the next one will work. I think at the core of what I'm trying to say is that in building something like Novalo, it started from something that small, whereby after the failed first event of Diamond in the Rough, that's when I realized that, there is power in personal branding. And if I had the right community already, it wouldn't have been harder for us to sell tickets. But beyond Diamond in the Rough, there are multiple ventures that I tried and they failed. I mean, they failed, right? So for example, I was part of a group where we did Accrual Investment Holdings. I don't even know why we had an investment company without assets. Hey, but we tried. Hey, we're even running. We wanted to run big events. It was a lot. A lot was happening there. But there I got to realize that for me, in order for a company to work, it has to be connected with a clear why, or else I don't know what I'm doing. And there were several other ones. I even ran a company whereby I billed for the first time more than 100,000, providing internal audit services. I was like, this can work. But at the same time, I was like, I know this is not the industry I want to be in. And how we actually got to the name Novalo and combining it to something else is when I did No-Valo Creations. And No-Valo Creations was literally my passion project, but a business as well. So remember at the beginning I told you, there came the name in Jersey. And then after my secondment, I actually came back to South Africa. That business that I started after coming back from secondment was a No-Valo Creations. It was an events planning business. This is where you say, Bazanele, you're a chartered accountant. But Mrs. Quinana, you're a chartered accountant. Miss Quinana, you're chartered. How? As a chartered, you leave the numbers, accounting and audit, and you go straight into events planning that you know nothing about. Guys, that was literally one of the worst decisions ever. Because I went into events planning business and I failed. I guess I failed. Like, if there's any business where I failed, it's that because I didn't know what I was doing. I wouldn't lie. I didn't know what I was doing. I was there renting out, the event stuff, renting out, like my codes were not adding up. The pricing wasn't adding up. I was running around. It was just not working. So yeah, those are the failed ventures. Probably there are a lot more that we can discuss, but I just wanted to highlight that getting to a point whereby you are running a multi-7-figure business, it's not like this is your first business, you just do it and it just works. It takes, just trial runs, doing things and falling flat, but eventually you get something that works for you. We have spoken about the Novalo name. We have spoken about all the failed ventures. But one of the things you might be wondering now, which is actually what so many people ask me out for coffee for, is, but Zanele, that courage to just jump from corporate and get into entrepreneurship, where did you get it? The honest answer is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I got it. But then at the same time, I'm just going to walk you through my thought process, and this might work for you, but I think most of the times it won't work for you. It won't work for you, right? So for me, how I got the courage, or rather how I built the Novalo to jump from corporate into entrepreneurship, is that, as I did mention, in 2017, I was embarking in life and career coaching with my coach, Tato, who is amazing. And through my coaching journey, one of the things that was highlighted is that I need to find something that works well with my authentic self. So I did assessments with Tato. And through that, I realized that the creative element, because I was in corporate and I was doing audit as well, I had lost touch with the creative element, and that was really draining me. So throughout 2017, I was doing little things, like I'd be writing letters for friends. That's when I started my YouTube channel. When literally my first video, oh my goodness, I don't think it's still there. My first video was, here are the ideas you can do for Valentine's if you don't have money. I think something like that. And then I was like, oh, you can have like a music playlist for your lover. which was something else, right? Because I was doing accounting during the day and I was creating such videos with a red lipstick. Oh my goodness, those are the days. So that's when I saw that actually I'm loving this creative part. And then when 2018 started, before my secondment started as well, I gave away free picnic setups for couples so that I can be in touch with that. So for me, the more I got in touch with the parts of me that I valued, but I never got in touch with, that's when I built that courage and strength, because I could see that part of myself and I wanted to explore more of it. So after reading that book that we spoke about, that Pam gifted me, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and I had my little why and my little name, that's when I was like, then perhaps we can link it to that place where, I feel the fire coming out whenever I do this. And that's why I did events planning. And this was when I still remember back then in Dublin, I called one of my mentors and partner in the audit firm I was working at. And I was like, when I come back, is it okay that I don't stay and I just jump into entrepreneurship? And yes, they were disappointed, but we spoke about it. And honestly, I just jumped. And so many people say, Zanele, did you have enough money? Did you have a plan? Did you know that this business was going to work? Short answer, no. And that's why I say, don't listen to me. Like, yes, we are here now, but don't listen to me. No. So I had 4 months worth of savings from my secondment in Dublin. At a time, I was dating my ex-fiancé. And when I came back, I was like, I'm not going to get into a rental agreement. So I asked to move with my ex-fiancé. So I moved in with him so that I don't pay rent. I don't pay for food. I don't pay for anything. I just focus on the business. And that was meant to last me for 4 months as I'm looking at the business. But guess what? It only lasted me for 2 months. So after 2 months, I didn't have money for anything. I didn't even have money to do my hair. And I was thinking, this person is still my boyfriend. I can't be asking him for money to do my hair. And that's when I realized, okay, Zanele, if you're going to run this business, you still need something. And in as much as I had jumped from corporate into entrepreneurship, I had to kind of like go back into corporate, but then it wasn't real corporate, so to say. This is when I started saying, what is something that can complement this venture of mine, but I would still enjoy and I would still have the same fire. And that's when I said, when I was at Wits, I really loved tutoring. How about I look into academia, because they see there's flexibility as well. And yeah, that's how I kind of like went back to corporate, but it wasn't really corporate. I went back into academia straight 2 months after. So you see, and then I was like, oh, okay, I really can't do this. And then I went into academia. There was flexibility. I kept on running the business. I still remember the university that I was working at. My colleagues loved the fact that I had a business. They used to order flowers from me. They knew I was doing events. So that balanced out quite well. But then in as much as I had gone back to part-time lecturing and I was running the business, I was still making losses and I still didn't know what I was doing. And as a result, I was like, there are certain parts of my life I would still like to explore as well. And I had seen in audit, I was exposed to different industries, construction, like retail, different industries, but I had not been exposed to financial services. So then in 2019, so between 2018 and 2019, myself as well as my ex-fiancé got jobs in Jersey in the Channel Islands, where actually we got a job in the bank. And that's when I realized that, this business that has been making losses, that is not working. Maybe as I am moving to the Channel Islands, this might be the time for me to let it go. So September 2019, packed up my bags, went to Jersey, Channel Islands, and I went back full into corporate, stopped the business because the business wasn't really serving anyone. And I was busy with my cute heels and, working in the, what was my team? Listed funds team. So yeah, this is where I would say the part of the journey of building Novalo stops for now, whereby yes, I had the courage to jump into entrepreneurship, but then even before I had the courage, there were a couple of failures before, and where all of that ended. Other people think where all of that ended, it ended here where I'm sitting, and I even have an amazing team that I work with at Novalo, and we change lives every day. But that wasn't the first part of the story. It ended where I was back in corporate again, wearing my suits with my red lipstick, answering emails. So yeah, we will leave it there for now. But before we close the video, I want to close the video with what are some of the lessons? Because I know I said a lot, but what are the core lessons? And how I'll be sharing these lessons, it will be for people, just you as a person. If you are not running a business, but you want to live more of a fearless life, what should you consider and what should you take away from this video? And if you are a business person or a person who wants to embark in business, listening to all of this, what is something you can take away? In closing, I was very intentional that in this series of building Novalo, it's not about just me telling you about my journey, but it's all about what can you take from it. So now with the lessons, we have personal, right? So you as a person who would like to live a life where you are building that fearless life, what can you consider? One of the things is that I would like you to pause and think about the fact that it's okay to be a beginner. It's okay. Because what I realized is that when I started the events business or even all these other things that I was doing, or even jumping from corporate into entrepreneurship, I had to acknowledge the fact that, yes, I knew that I could do audit in my sleep, but then now running a business, it's all entirely new. And that came with so much fear. So I hope that if you are taking on something new and you want to live that, life with Novalo, you would acknowledge that. You would acknowledge that it is okay. And then number 2, if you are running a business, I wish I knew this. I wish I knew that you don't have to see the entire staircase. It's okay to see the first step. If you can see the first step, and you know exactly what is the worst that can happen and you are okay with it, then I think you can jump. And I know what I just said seems all motivational. And here at Novalo, we don't love all fluff motivation. So I'm going to tie it in a bow and give you a tool, a coaching tool that we use. And this is all around understanding a competency scale. What is a competency scale? A competency scale is the type of scale that helps you understand that yes, you start as a beginner where you're not competent, and then it gets to a point where you are competent, and that's where you relax. So now with you understanding the competency scale, it's all about assessing where am I within the competency scale and taking the right action to move forward instead of hoping that you could have been competent already. So the competency scale, this is how it works. It has 4 layers. The first one is acknowledging that you can start with being unconsciously incompetent. Let's take an example of driving a car. So as a child, you can see the car is being driven, but at the same time, you don't even know that you have to get a license to drive a car. You don't even know that this is an entire skill. You know nothing, right? So you are unconsciously incompetent. And then it moves to a point whereby you are consciously incompetent. Now you are 15, 16 years old and you're like, oh, okay, it takes a license. It takes knowing all of these things. But then still you don't know how to do it, but you are conscious that you don't know how to do it. And then you move to a point whereby you are consciously competent. This is when you say, oh, okay, this is driving a car. I've gotten my license, but I'm still checking the mirrors. I'm still a bit careful, but I'm consciously competent. And then lastly, this is the level we love and where we feel safe, where we are unconsciously competent. This is where you get into the car. You're not even looking at the mirrors. Sometimes you drive, you even get to your destination. You're not even thinking about driving. So the reason why I'm sharing this tool with you is because if we are at the stage whereby we are a beginner, whether in business or in something you are taking in life, but you keep on putting so much pressure on you because you want to act as though you're already unconsciously competent, it delays you. It delays you. So you have to always assess, where am I in the competency scale? And depending on where you are, seek the help. For example, if you want to get into business and you are consciously incompetent, this is where you can get a mentor. This is where you can get a coach. There are different levels, and in different levels, it's all about assessing where you are and getting the relevant help. That was us. That was the first episode of a Building Novalo. I hope you love it, and I am looking forward to walking this journey with you as you are building your own Novalo or building your own business. I can't wait. I can't wait to share it all. I can't wait to celebrate it all with you. But then as we are leaving, I want to remind you to stay fearless. Chapeau. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe so that I can see you in the next one. And turn on your notifications because you want to see how the rest of the journey unfolds. I'll see you in the next one. Chapeau.